So yeah, it was interesting.
Excellent.
We'll work with what presents, don't we?
We do. And just for those of you who are tuning in a little bit later, we just started recording while Diana was sharing a lovely sharing about energy and observation yesterday. And can you just go back to what your observations were with yourself and then the yoga class, Diana?
um, it was just yesterday. It was that feeling of it was really hard to get out of bed and really hard to get motivated and get going. That really slow, kind of sticky, stuffy energy.
Mm.
And was through doing. I noticed that doing the yoga classes where I was moving the energy, how it kind of percolated through and pushed it through really,
Mm.
and
Mm.
yeah, got things moving again. So it was a very, very profound contrast.
Yes.
Yeah, it was really a day for it yesterday.
Was, and there is some correlation to the weather too, because of course we're feeling those shifts and changes before they come, before we have the physical thing of it. So as we're attuning as well within the space that is beyond us, we feel all of that as well. So magical beings we are, truly, truly magical. So this group call was set up specifically for people who indicated that they'd like to connect again. And so Diana's here. And we'll see if anyone else shows up with us. Well, let's make it really practical for you, Diana. Is there anything particular that you would like to share, to talk about, to offer, to work with today?
Oh, on the spotlight here. Okay. um, it's kind of been an interesting time. I've been sort of floating in and out of different energies, and a lot of I've been dealing with a lot of stuff around death and dying. Um, so it's been coming up for me. And with my last post that I made about my ex and that session I had with you, it was really breakthrough. Like I definitely have felt a shift with things there, which is really good. Um, and that post was kind of like the ideal version of how to be with it all. But I'm still going through the grief process as well. So, and I'm just noticing the different stages of it. And I'm maybe just wondering about that whole grief process. Yeah, we can snap out of things. Yeah, we can put our mind on more positive things, but we still have to honour that
Mm.
process too, don't we? So maybe uh, something around that. I don't know.
Ooh, that'd be interesting. Ooh.
It's kind of like it's okay. My understanding is okay if it's keeping moving, and it's just to be careful not to get stuck in it.
Because there's so much that sort of comes up in this. One is it's the individual experience of the loss or the perception of loss of something or someone is the originating experience of the separation, isn't it? It's that individual's connection to someone or something. And when that someone or something has an impermanence to this life or death, they're alive, they're now dead, they're now not in physical form, they're now not there if I call them, they're now not there if I reach out to them, they're now not there for me to, if I can play with it too, argue with the whole process of any relating experience with another being. There's also the full of life experience, and that we perceive life as so important here on the planet. We have such a high value on life because at some levels of conscious awareness, that's all we can prove. Yeah?
My sound keeps cutting out.
Okay. At some level of conscious awareness, from a physical reality form, we can only prove life or death, which is non-movement, from a moving through the acceptance of the grief process. Hey, Jessica.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Dale.
Sorry I'm late, I almost forgot, and then I was like, shit, and then I had a shower. I made it.
You did. We were just in the middle of discussing, and I'm still moving through what's sort of shown up for the conversation, but just about the impermanence of life.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And specifically pointing to, at the moment, the grief process, and thank you, Dana, for bringing this up. I'm not a specialist in this area, and I think it needs to be said so. And there definitely is a process that people go through. And it's because it's layers and layers and layers of experience that we would have had with that person or ourselves, the interaction of the memories. I feel really, I'm going to label how I feel right now. I feel really challenged to say what I'm actually being shown. Because if I do go down that path, I haven't walked a grief process of someone exceptionally close to me. So I haven't walked that path yet. So I have to be very deeply respectful to anybody who has, and I still can't not see what I'm seeing. So if I may share it with that full knowledge that I'm sharing what I'm seeing, not from my own personal depth of having gone through a grief process, only having grieved, let's say, relationships, and there's definitely a process in there where we move from a very low vibration of loss, which ultimately is where it all comes from. I have lost this that I was attached to, so excited, connected with, made sense of myself about, had roles to play with, that person or that thing or that being interacted with me in ways that acknowledged that I was there, that I was present, that I existed. So please notice the depth of this conversation. Through this other being in the form that they are or were, I acknowledge the existence of self through their existence in life form. And so, in a way, with the glasses of it being life form, life is movement, moving is life, breath is life, has a start and a finish. When we look at it through the lens or the eyes of a linear time sequence, only seeing the physical form. No, seeing from the physical form, and yet already preempting the impermanence of energy that took form, so emotion that took form. So when it unravels, when it changes its sequence, when it changes its genetic makeup, when it changes its frequency vibratorily, we simply through the feeling, sense, and perception of I had, now I don't, it is, now it is not, they were, now they are not. It moves into a different format, so it moves into a frequency of vibrational memory, which now still has a form, but not so slow, not so slow vibrationally as to be in what we deem the physical form, but it still has an energy. So in this moving form, of course, it's reorganization, restructure within the body physical or the body being, senses and labels as we would, oh, this is a human being external to me, oh, they have a gender, I'm here, they are there, that being with their identity, with their gender, with their location separate from me, because we're seeing this in a form, physical form way, when that you are separate from me is removed and we're only in the energy form, there's a new recognition. So first of all, we take from the memories of knowing. So we pull from that which we were connected to, or that which we had habitual acknowledgements of, or that which we have a memory of. And in the memory frequency, we bring it into this now format. So there we're unraveling it, and we get to heal at different levels through this, not just of the one being. Our own association with self, our own association with separation, our own association with what we perceived them and us to be. I just need to stop. Shall I carry on? Yeah. So the way I'll have to go into the image again. So the way I see it is like a completely opposite to the idea of a snowflake. If it was going up, it would be an ash that is floating down. Still the same tiny sequence, similar smallness, similar uniqueness. The signature of that memory changes and is formatted by our observation of it too. Diana, I just need to check in with you. Are you okay?
Yeah.
I've got to go over that again. So if a snowflake went up, and a snowflake, as you can see, is, it's just a unique, tiny, minuscule, frozen energy form. And instead of coming down, if the snowflake went up, and ash, fascinatingly so, normally goes up, but they're showing me the concept of a piece of ash coming down, kind of seen as like a debris. But it's not that. It's like an addition to the griever, the bereaved. It adds in a new sequencing that couldn't be experienced without that person having shifted and changed form. So in a way, it's one of the most healing, most beautiful things that a human being can have. Even though we don't perceive that it's so, because it's kind of like a reintegration of the separation that was when that person was in a physical form. The shift in form now moves in density to an energy memory, so a signature of the memory. And then as we move through our grieving process, it is able to lighten both within us and somehow contributing back to the whole, like a complete integration, like an upgrade, like an uplift, like a, no, I haven't tapped it yet, like an exchange that adds a different type of chemical. And so now I'm saying, like, you've got water and let's say baking soda, and you just put a little bit of baking soda in the water and it froths, or in the milk it froths. So if the water and baking soda it is what it is. It's separate identities. It's a beautiful observation of these two are not the same. They're separate. They can be used together. They can create takes. They can create cleansings. They can create, can be used for cleaning, could be digested. It's got multiple uses. And when they come together in a life form, they react slightly different in physical form, slightly differently than when they're reintegrating at a non-physical form. And so our grieving process is the coming into, in some ways, the wholeness within ourselves, that person is no longer separate from us, and any memories that we have of them, and these are to be deeply respected, but any memories that we have of them is our memories that we are retelling ourselves. And that is just as beautiful as any memory of experience that you're having right now. So the grieving process is a journey that can be viewed and as an experience of quite pain and suffering. But it can also be perceived as a journey of deep growth. It can also be perceived as the wisdom of that person can become borrowed with you and by you. And it can also be perceived, I don't understand. Okay, it can also be perceived like when the mouth of a river joins the sea, or when two currents in the ocean meet. Okay, like, Cape Reinga, where is it the Atlantic Ocean and the Tasman Sea join together? They're two bodies of water that come together. Some of you may know this, the way that looks. So there's a slight turbulence in that when viewed from one angle, and I'm sure it's quite turbulent if you're a water particle in that ocean. And so, Diana, whenever this grieving process is happening, there's an invite for you to sink quite deeply down inside of it, to go through it and to go underneath where this is occurring, because quite deep down there's already an emergence that's happened. And there's already a safety deep down inside where we never were separate. We never were perceived as two different beings.
Yep.
And there's a deep respect again to the life of experience that we have here. It's in no way taking away from it or the experience that you will have going through any loss. And there is another way to perceive it too, if that would be useful for you. Yeah, now it's getting all confusing. It's gone into a whole lot of symbols and sequences that were just a bit beyond my interpretation right now. Okay, so what was useful out of that, if anything? Welcome, Monica.
Well, there's so much in there. Speaking on a level that is quite kind of unfamiliar. I'll need to listen to it again. But just at the end there, that whole thing of diving deep into it, it's kind of given me permission to do that, which is good. Because sometimes I feel like I should do that.
And so thank you for that. And so the dive deep into it. Equip yourself however you want, but the idea of the deep dive or the free fall is allowing, that minute of earth time where you literally just go down beyond all the perceptions of the fears that we normally hold ourselves out from. If you just dive into it purposefully with your intent, you'll find that you'll go down deep enough to be able to immerse and merge with an ease. And then as you come back up, if you do, and that's okay, because there are different levels of yeah, different levels of integration for that. So when you give yourself permission to sink into it, you can do it slowly or you can do it as a dive. Depends which is most appropriate for you in any moment.
Yeah.
And another sequence, and this may be for you, has been really playing with me for the last 2 days, is, and everyone can play with this if you like, it's like an opening up of a flower blooming quite fast within. So it happens, I notice it more around my heart chakra, and it's like a blooming, and if you just set it opening, there's a real inner light that shines, and it's quite different than the heart smile. So I'm finding if I'm working with very deep, slow energies now, I may give myself the compare and contrast and come to that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like relief, it's not like keeping the tension on too much. There's a time for, oh, and then you can immerse yourself again. Yeah?
Yep. Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
I've been doing the free fall, and almost every day. It's been very interesting and very liberating. And in fact, I was late because I was doing that to a client. In fact, and I thought we were starting at 7 o'clock here, and I thought it was going to start in an hour and a half. I'm sorry, I'm late.
No, then that's me, Monica. I'm sorry.
No,
You
it's
look beautiful. You look beautiful. Hello.
Hi, how are you doing, guys? Miss you all.
Hey. Nice to
Sorry,
see you all.
I'm muting myself because I've got quite a lot of background noise going on here with the kids and stuff. So. Nice to see you, Monica and Diana.
You look so beautiful.
How do you? Oh, wow. Yeah, that was beautiful, Karen. That was that moved so quickly. I definitely need to hear that again too. But there's some parts in there, but it's kind of like light bulb moment. But in saying that, it's gone straight away. Like now, I have to go back and completely listen to that over again because, yeah. But loss is a hard one. I mean, I've lost 3 grandparents in my life, and it's the first time was they've all been quite traumatic, and yeah, it's interesting. Grieving, the grieving process, but it gets easier every time. I see it in a different light every time. It's I do it differently every time. I feel like one of my roles here is to actually, I'm kind of good at that. I'm good at people dying. Like I think I can kind of facilitate people going through that. So I think it's kind of a bit of an honour really, but yeah, it's hard. Because you do, and I still just have random memories pop into my head, and you're sort of like, what's that all about, really, And then you think, what even is a memory, really, compared to what I'm thinking right now? What's the difference? I don't know. I mean, there's so many ways you can go with that, isn't there?
What you touched on, Karen, is the whole thing that the grieving process is a gift, and there's growth in it, and there's so it's a positive experience as well.
It definitely makes you grow. You can't not. And as horrible as it is, it does. You come out the other side, and it's like you've learnt so much from it, even if you don't even realise it.
This is recorded, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I'm the same, Jessica. I'm going to have to listen to that too. Yeah. So there's a real sense that it's this. We have every right. This is me personally speaking. We have every right to experience the life that we have, and that we create in exactly the way that we do. I can't imagine the devastation it would be to lose a parent as a young being, or a child, or something like that. And yet throughout history, this is a normal. It's normal, you know. So if we removed, so this is personal still, even though I feel quite emotional about it. If I removed all judgment around how I was feeling without any label on it, no label whatsoever, and it was completely okay for me to laugh hysterically, cry and wail, scream and shout, giggle, laugh, talk in any situation, in any circumstance, without appropriateness being added. And the freedom of that expression was normal and completely natural and accepted. Then we probably wouldn't have these levels of need for these levels of conversation. We just probably wouldn't. And it's not the world we live in. And I'm not even suggesting that would be the perfect or ideal world. But these are the levels and layers and filters that we're moving through. The perception, and Monica, you beautifully put this up, I think it was in the Meet the Neighbours or something, you know, maybe it was in the tribe, how your clients will perceive you as you needing to be a certain way, or your perception of yourself as you needing to be a certain way. And every single person on this call and anyone who listens to this has the same contemplation. I'm not saying that it's a problem, the same contemplation in everything, and completely everything, because this is the gift we have, is this jumping to see ourselves from another's eyes. I had a thought, and I'd love to share this. I had a thought the other day. Isn't it fascinating? And I have a question. I'm saying this as a question, but it will come across as a statement. Isn't it fascinating how it seems like we're the last ones sometimes to realize something, especially beautiful about ourselves? Isn't it fascinating how I can look at you and I can see all the magnificence, the beauty, the growth, the living life, the trying things out, the etc., 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 etc. And yes, it's true that I can see that because I have a filter that sees that. And yet, it's when another looks at me and I can see them through their filter, my perception of their filters, that I can see myself in a different way. I'm really pleased that we have other beings on this planet.
Yes, we have so many judgments against ourselves that sometimes because we're seeing ourselves how sometimes our parents or our family are seeing us, that we can see how wonderful or magical or spiritual or whatever connection we have. It's hard for us to see it. And to start believing in ourselves is the hardest part, because sometimes that's where it comes the doubts. And when we can step forward is when we start believing more in ourselves and more. Even if you can see me magical, Karen, even if you can see me as magnificent and so forth, I love to hear it and so forth. But sometimes I because I'm too submerged in my problems or my things, I don't see it. And I need to see it all the time. That's what we all need to see ourselves, how wonderful and magnificent we all are, and magical. And that's the hardest part for us. That's how I see it.
What does anyone else think?
I think also, like, you know it, you know that about yourself, but sometimes you just have a hard time accepting it or believing it. But deep down, you know it. You know that about yourself. But yeah, it is interesting. I don't know why that is about people. I mean, there's a million explanations of why people are like that. Mm-hmm. But really, I mean, it goes so much deeper than that. It's a hard one to answer, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, I appreciate people like never before now. I just look at someone, when you're younger, you have so many judgments about people. But now I'll just sit there and just stare at someone and just look at all their bits that they probably think are all their imperfections, and I just think they're amazing. and unique, and that's what's amazing about humanity, because why would we all want to look the same and do the same things? You know, that's what we hear in our individual, you know, expressions, and that's what's beautiful.
Mm. Mm. And when we're having those moments of not feeling, let's say magical, just to use that word, not feeling so connected to ourselves in that moment, perhaps a little stuck or something, to even make that not okay is kind of lovely and cute too, because it's an experience we must want to feel, or we wouldn't be having it. To truly, and Dinah, this comes back in part to the process of grieving too. To accept what is part of it, right? It's part of the process of grieving, is to accept, to come into acceptance of, okay, this is the way this is now. And when we come into acceptance of, in a moment, now I'm talking in a moment, when we're not feeling, when I say, you know, we might feel shit, or we might feel separate from ourselves for a moment. If we're really, really freaking honest, it doesn't actually last a long time, but the mind quickly generalizes it and makes it a day. We might feel like we're moving through something almost slow motion, like the sludgy thought or the molasses thought, or dragging yourself around on some particular energy day. And the generalized mind, my mind, and I notice other people do it too, quickly codes that for a whole day. It's not true. Really, it's not true. There were moments that was a sense and a feeling. There were also moments where we didn't know that sense or feeling, but we just didn't realize it at the time. Where did our lovely Diana go?
There she is. I've been noticing lately. I was thinking, okay, what I want to bring to today, and I started thinking, like, I feel like kind of blocked or stuck in something, and I've been trying to analyze it. It's like, okay, what is going on? Why I don't feel that? Well, let's use a word, magical, or that that thing. I know I've been doing deep diving very often and so forth. I'm not passing for a physical loss of someone, but I getting the divorce, and in a way it is. And it's like, okay, to what point is affecting me? Because I feel so happy that I am not with my ex. It's not future ex, now it's ex. Yeah. But at the same time, why I feel stuck? Why I feel I'm not moving forward, and just flying around that when I thought, or maybe I did too many expectations when this was going to happen. I was just going to fly, and I'm not flying yet. What do you think, Karen? What do you think, guys?
I think you nailed it on the head with too many expectatives and expectations. That will probably be one of them. But Monica, there's something else here, and this will appropriately meet everyone. I know it to be true. And I'm laughing because of what I'm about to say. There is such a deep inner need to be right. There is such a deep inner need to be right. And if you even just let the word right sit with you inside of your being, or notice where it is with you, where is its core, the absolute need to be right?
Mm-hmm.
Where is that? Where is the location, if it had a location for you?
My head.
In your head, yeah. Okay.
Mine's in my throat.
Yours is in your throat. Cool. And for anybody else who watches this later, just locate where, if it was in your physical being or outside of your being, where is that absolute need to be right? So if it had a shape or form, what shape or form might it hold and how large might it be? So just quickly allow a shape, a form, a size to produce for you.
A book.
A book. Yep. Beautiful. Yep.
Mine's just a big ball. Big ball. Actually looks like a heart, which is strange.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. So what I'm going to invite us to do, and anybody else who's done this, just notice what you notice. If you opened up and observed that which is observing that, so just notice that at a subtle level, that which is observing that, and look to all the times in life where it has been completely safe to be wrong. And what do you notice?
Lying.
I don't feel like it's ever been safe to be wrong. I feel like I've always, I don't know.
Thank you, Jessica. So in this particular case, can you take your attention to every possibility of where right or wrong didn't exist for a moment, just for a moment? That the need was removed. And what do you notice now in the subtleties? If anything.
Nothingness, just pure energy.
Pure energy, beautiful. So in that pure energy, can you just go to 1 point, 0 in on 1 point of energy, go into the 1 point of energy, deeply into the 1 point of energy. Yeah, beautiful. And from that set of eyes, there is a possibility. Is it possible?
When I go to that point, I actually see a child. I see a child me, like.
Okay, good.
I keep hearing anything is possible, but the child me is really sort of in a ball, like really timid.
Okay.
Mm.
Are you okay if everyone can be just okay? Jessica, are you okay if we work with the child energy?
Yes.
So coming into the point of light, and all you can see is the child energy in a ball. And what is it that she needs right now?
Love and acceptance.
Okay. So in that, welcoming her and just picking her up, pouring from within the space of her, the light, love and acceptance. This would be a you, right, darling? Yeah. Now's a good time, Jessica, if you're willing to, for a download of unconditional love and healing into this space, and with permission by you, to the highest level of light, the creator of all that is on the seventh plane, teaching the cells in your body what it feels like to know that you can be safe to be wrong, and that it can be safe to be right, that you can understand and know the difference. How does that feel? You know,
Wasn't expecting that. Yeah, I think I don't know. I felt like as a child I always had to be a certain way and had to be on my best behaviour and, had to be kind of perfect, I guess, in all ways. So I, just felt a bit strangled and I guess, I don't know. I sort of, going into that place and trying to pick myself up, and that I just felt like I didn't have that ever.
How does it feel now that you have?
Good. It was uncomfortable, I'm not going to lie, to even do that to yourself. So it's very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful healing. Just let that integrate and soften into it. Let her, there we go. Let her unfold just gently in her own way. Yeah. How are you doing there, Monica?
Lately, I felt like I was being possible. I have to be right all the time. And I get into these arguments and so forth. And not only with myself, with people around me, but I started staying in my house better so I don't get in conflicts. And I've been trying to analyze why I'm doing this, why I don't want to fight with anybody, but why I have to be right. And I got to the conclusion, well, right now, what you're saying is fear of judgment. And if I am right, then I don't feel judged by others. And of course, it's not going to happen like that because everybody has their own process and everybody has their own ways of seeing things, and it's fine and it's good. And it's ridiculous, my point of view, in fact. But I don't know how to get out of there, so I stopped looking for conflicts.
Okay. So I'm just going to come right into it, Monica. I absolutely adore you. All of us adore you here right now. And it feels like the best thing right now is that's what the block is. Okay? Completely and absolutely, that's it. So I feel all I can hear is like a hoot of laughter. Are we still working with you? You're right? Yeah. It's kind of like a hoot of laughter so that it's almost, learning to laugh at yourself, Monica. To just laugh at the absolute need, oh, I have to be right. And it's like finding that level of, it doesn't really matter. It is what it is. And just letting, I just love to hear you have a rip roar of laughter, kind of at yourself, with yourself, along with yourself, to free yourself up so that there is no need to defend yourself anymore. So you can actually be free from the need to defend. Yeah? Being free from the need to defend, or what is that? To justify why or what or how, when or where, to simply no longer even need to desire to explain, to simply come into an ease of it just is. And if you're willing to hear this and to be really come comfortable with the silent pause, instead of the need and desire to fill it with explanation. So how does this look? How does this feel?
Yeah, I don't have to look for approval at all.
This is the next level of development for you, for all of us, and for you, Monica. This is the next level, no longer needing approval from, or to justify why, or to have to. And I'm sure that this will be a gentle journey that we can make very difficult. I feel like I'm talking to all of us right now, and myself too. We can make this incredibly difficult by the need to be right. by holding our perspective so powerfully and so strongly. And isn't it wonderful when you are able to do that clearly? And isn't it incredibly powerful when we no longer feel the need to give our power away? When we can actually reclaim our power and no longer make other people wrong either. Or no longer need to fight when they desire to be right. To be okay to listen out something is completely different than our perspective, and to be comfortable with the silence.
Sounds right.
Okay, so it's nothing we need to have to try to do, just an opening up. So you can do this very fast. Just trust yourself, close your eyes, come into your heart, open up, open up, open up, and say, I'm willing to have this easier. I'm willing to see how easy it is for me to accept what is without having to defend myself, without having to justify, without having to be right, and yet still able to interact with myself and others for the highest and best. If you can agree with this, teaching the cells in your body at your core genetic history and soul levels across all times, across all planes, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically, and vibrationally, so be it. And now allowing that to sink and settle. Yeah?
Thank you.
Any observations, Jessica, Diana?
Just that that's such an important lesson for everyone, like literally everyone, because we all do it, don't we? We all want to be right. It's just how we are. We do. No one wants to be wrong because it feels shit. We don't want to feel shit.
No.
We'd rather.
I don't like it. I don't like that feeling.
Me neither. Even if you know you're wrong, you're like.
Yeah, even if you know you're wrong. So rather than just stripping off this at a irregular, send ourselves off the Richter scale, let's gently peel it layer by layer. Layer by layer. Gentle kindness. We can always regain that need as and when required, but no longer be sticky to it. Because there's nothing more fun than having a debate with someone either.
Yeah.
It's about choice, that we love choice. I'm talking again. Diana, did you have a contribution?
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah, I had to switch to my phone because my internet connection kept dropping out. So
Okay.
I've kind of had a intermittent. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't say anything right now.
Okay, just coming up to the hour then. Is everyone feeling a sense of completion at this point? Or at least you're in a... Has that been useful?
It's always useful.
Yeah.
I didn't have any expectations.
Yeah.
I just come and clean and see what happens. So.
Awesome. So
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, ladies. It's so lovely to connect with you. I haven't had a class for over a month, and of course it sends me internal. So it's really nice to have people to chat with.
Oh, I miss this class so much.
Yes, I think we all do. It is nice to connect,
So
just to see everybody face to face.
yeah, so maybe we'll have them more regularly in the tribe. Try and work in with a few different people too. And it would be more I don't know. I'm more than happy to do it. I stopped doing those calls for a while there because I'd sort of been by myself for about 5 weeks, and I was like, okay, it's not working now. So I think just as energy shifts and changes, we need to do it differently. Yeah. So I'm more than happy to. Is it weekly? Is it bi-weekly? Is it monthly? No difference for me.
I guess we just have to find out what works for everybody, and we can sort of come together and form a plan.
Okay.
And what sort of times and stuff. I mean, I'm pretty flexible. I'm pretty flexible, so I can pretty much do whatever really, as long as I have, a good amount of notice. But yeah, I'm just other people, working and kids and stuff, so it's quite hard to find a good time for everyone, isn't it?
At what time is right now over there with you guys?
So
2:30 in the afternoon.
Okay. For me, it's 7:30.
This is a good time slot for me. Yeah, this is a good time slot for me, and I really love seeing you all again and being in the kind of connecting with you all. It's great. So lovely to see you all.
It is beautiful. All right, well, we'll bring it to the tribe. I'll post this up soon. It doesn't take long now. I've got this wonderful fibre connection. And yeah, I love you all, and share your learnings, your loves, your losses, your enjoyments. And yes, so much is, and Dinah, I love that you brought this up, because I think it's a big thing that's current in our connection with everything, is this impermanence and our need for things to be permanent, but actually it's completely impermanent. So once we can get the ends of those dualities and kind of play with them a little bit more playfully and curiously, rather than in other ways, it just may feel a little easier. I love you all.
And I love you guys.
Nice to see you all. Love you all.
Bye.
I love you too. Bye-bye.